Hello and welcome. This is Peter Palmiotti of Untitled, and this is another Comics and Art episode. Forget the number, but you can look it up. So here today, we're kind of doing a part two. For all the people I've interviewed on podcasts and now on YouTube, I don't think I ever talked with two creators from the same small publishing company. So
first time for everything.
yes, first time. Part one was with Alex, and today talking with his partner, Web. Nice to meet you, Web.
Good to meet you, Peter. Yeah, I'm Web Bleynat. I'm the editor of NRG Comics, but I'm also the writer on Zener, Master of the Mind. So yeah, I figured that I would come in and talk about it since Alex he writes Empress Mother Earth's Handmaiden, but mostly his involvement in this particular book is as a creator and also in an editing capacity.
Cool. Well, what's your background? I guess we should get into that first.
Geez, yeah, I don't have a whole lot of a background to talk about. I think I've written two comic books so far that have been published. There was the Zener issue 0, and I also did one for a book called Impact International by God, what was his name? I know, I swear I know it, and it's just flitted right out of my head. But hell, you know what? Let me run to the other room right quick. I'll just flash the cover for people.
Sure. I'll mention that in the comment section, I linked its CreatorCon event is a new YouTube channel for comic creators to go check out. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, there it is.
Right.
Impact International. Characters created by Dan Sin from Argo Comics.
Awesome. Yeah, I know Dan. Good guy.
yeah, he was a cool person to work with. So yeah, those are the two books I've done so far. Other than that, I've been sort of working on my own stuff. I've got a project in the works called High Treason League. If anybody is a fan of manga, battle shonen, that sort of thing, that could be something that you might want to follow me for at Hopcrop on Twitter, HOPCROP.
I'll make sure to put links in the video description below. Anything that you want there, I already put all the links Alex gave me last time, so those are there already to any any comic company links and whatnot.
Excellent.
Cool. So, well, I mean, if you're writing, then what were your earliest inspirations to get into writing at all growing up?
Oh, well, I always wanted to write something, and it's been so long that I've wanted to do some writing, either as a career or just as a hobby, that I couldn't honestly tell you what the initial inspiration for it was. I do remember, and this is kind of a funny story, what got me into comics. Most people get into comics because they read Spider-Man as a kid, or they They found their dad's comic book collection or whatever. For me, I did actually have my dad's comic book collection, but for some reason, it never hit me that I wanted to actually write comics until I read, of all things, a webcomic called Elgunis Shive. I don't even think I would necessarily like this comic today. I would have to go back and reread it. It's been years. But the reason I think this one spoke to me, Elgunis Shive, is because it's just off the wall. It's this weird story about just a bunch of teens, and the whole world around them is starting to become, wacky things are starting to happen due to magic and weird alien technology, and just everything is bizarre. And so I think the reason that kind of set me on this path was when it just sort of clicked to me that in comic books there really are no rules. You can just do anything. It's the most it's the medium with the highest spectacle to investment ratio of anything, because it took them how many years to get to a point where the stuff that characters could do in comics in the 30s, it took them how many years to get them to do that realistically on the big screen.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. I mean, it's like I hear a lot of like in Japan with manga and whatnot. They have comic books for everything, including like how to change the tire of your car, and it's like all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I mean that's awesome. That like a webcomic is what you got you into comics. I know that's something I didn't have growing up.
Yeah, I know it's a weird origin story, but it's how I got here. So anyway, so after that, I just like I started pursuing some of the ideas that had been whirling around in the back of my mind that I just sort of decided I'd probably never do anything with, and decided to start fleshing those out a bit. And in the course of doing that, I met Alex. We just bumped into each other on DeviantArt, because we were both working on superhero OCs at the time. And I don't know, he liked my characters. I thought I liked his, and I thought, his enthusiasm was for the medium was contagious. And so we've been fast friends ever since.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's. I used to be more hardcore on DeviantArt. It's definitely not as busy as it used to be, but it's still a great place to, show off what you're working on and meet a lot of other creators and artists. And I don't know, there's every kind of person on there now. It seems models, photographers, everything. It's always good to seek out those kind of sites, and besides Facebook, Twitter, everybody's on to go where the creative people hang out.
Yeah, for sure. I guess the hopping place now would be Instagram, which I really need to get into Instagram, but I don't know. I may look like a millennial, but I am in fact a boomer. I don't understand the newfangled technologies and on the computery box. I don't get it.
Well, it takes a little getting used to. I mean, I come from a world where none of this was around, and I've adapted. I wouldn't say I'm a top professional in all of that, but I get around. And yeah, I love Instagram. It seems like more and more it's gearing towards video stuff, and I like to keep sites separate. Like if I'm making videos, it's usually on here. If I'm making artwork, I usually post it on Instagram. I've dropped off recently, but I will get back to it. But yeah, I think it's a great site, and it is like owned by Facebook now, so they sort of it's plugged in on Facebook somehow. So if you use it, it's not a bad thing to promote what you got going on and all that.
Yeah, I kind of like having separate sites too. Once YouTube rolled out the feature to have people post still images to their followers, every time I see a creator I like posting something, I'm like, oh good, a new video, and then it's just a still image. Like, come on. Come on. I've been waiting for 2 weeks for you to post something, and I get this.
Yeah. Yeah, I know like they have a talk to your friends on YouTube function, and I haven't used that yet. It's like, yeah, every site tries to be everything, but I try to keep it separate, just so I mentally don't get destroyed. I don't know.
Yeah, I do like the compartmentalization, and the every social media site now seems to be trying to be every other social media site.
Yeah, it seems when sites do that, it seems like almost like they're watering down what they're doing. That it doesn't have a distinct focus to what they're up to. But yeah. So I'll mention we have a bunch of people in the chat. So we had Stinch, if that's how you pronounce it. He says thanks. And all these names are going to kill me. I want to say Itchy, but that's probably not right. Tell me how to pronounce your names. Let me know. What is up, Total? Let me excellent.
Deal with this phone.
No problem.
All right, there we go. Nothing I needed to answer.
No problem. My goodness, the description is like a summary paper. Yes. My video description. There's a lot of links I have, and a lot of links for your comics group and whatnot in there. So it's definitely a lot going on there. Comics, the free frontier. It can be at times. There's definitely a lot. You said it correct, Peter. Oh, okay. Great. Excellent.
Spinch Whackbacker.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that okay to say? That sounds like some obscure slur for like I don't know, a weird European group that nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah, what's the origin of that stench? Yeah, it's like I mean, YouTube has always had creators on it with different names. It just seems to be more and more people going by like wacky names on it now. I mean, that might be his real name. I'm not sure. not to insult, but yeah, that's cool. So my cats are talking to me. I locked them in the bathroom. You're fine. You got food in there. You'll survive. I left the toilet seat up for water. No, I didn't.
Yeah. That's how to deal with the girlfriend too.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. But I don't think I asked Alex this, but what is the initials of the company stand for, if anything?
It doesn't. It's just if you say it fast, it sounds like energy.
Okay, I
Yep.
gotcha.
Yeah. No. Maybe we should have come up with like a clever excuse for it, but no, it's just NRG energy.
Oh, awesome.
Stanley would be disappointed in us.
Well, he's disappointed in most of us.
Right.
Well, that's cool. Um, it's like I Googled it, and so many other things came up. And it was like, unless I typed it in exactly, I didn't see. Yeah, your company come up first. And there's a bunch of other things unrelated, but you
Yeah.
know,
No, we need to maybe we'll need to figure out the whole search engine optimization thing. 'Cause
yeah, it can be super tough. I mean, for me, it's okay. It's usually a lot of my brother's stuff pops up if people search for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything's
People search
Jimmy
for me.
Palmiotti.
They get a lot of stuff about my dad's law firm.
Oh, oh goodness.
Yeah.
So let's see. This is a web. It was an accident. I was going to write Stitch, like little Disney creature, but I was stuck with. Oh, yeah. Okay, I gotcha. Um, Whackbacker may sound a lot like Woodback, inspired by a
Yeah.
weapon.
I knew it sounded like a slur, but I didn't actually make the connection. But inspired by a weapon from Team Fortress 2. Yeah, I haven't played it, so I wouldn't know.
Mm. Me neither. So, going forward, what are some of your aspirations to what you got going on?
Well, in terms of NRG comics, I really would love for it to take off. Um, I think that if we can achieve a level of success at which point the books are paying for themselves, then there are so many cool stories that Alex and I have come up with that we would love to share with people. Um, and personally, I really want to get High Treason League going. And I also have another big project that I really want to get done called Casey Jones, which is it's going to be sort of, I don't want to say steampunk, like it's technically steampunk, but when people think steampunk, they think like Victorian weird cosplay with gears and stuff. Now it's more Americana themed, but there are trains and steam powered engines uh, and fantastical technology all over the place. So I'd like
Well,
to get that done as well.
that sounds cool. Yeah, I'm reminded of what was that? Something Engine came out not too long ago. It was a movie. I think it was
Mortal Engines.
Mortal Engine. That was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I
That
haven't
remind.
seen it.
Well,
I haven't seen it, but the premise looked really cool.
yeah, it's a bunch of cities on wheels and other stuff. It was very steampunk inspired. I think it was originally a novel.
Would make sense, yeah.
Yeah, it's like more and more movies coming out in development are either like inspired by comics or novels, or or just remakes of stuff that came out before.
Oh god, just remake after remake after remake. I can't wait until that whole trend meets its final conclusion. Because I mean, what new IPs have come out in like the past 10 years that are even worth mentioning? It's not a long list, I would say.
Tenant, I don't know. Yeah, it's a lot less out there, but I mean, there's freaking thousands of movies each year, regardless of the current global event going on. But you know, I think it's something that it's just, yes, it's a current phase, but I don't think it's going to phase out to a certain degree because with Hollywood, they want certain guarantees that the movies are going to bring in money, and I don't blame them because they're spending millions and millions. But I mean, this is why like comics are an advantage to work on. You could sort of test the market. Like here's a different sort of idea, and let me do a couple issues and put it out there and see if there's an audience for it.
Well, I'm almost sort of wondering if Hollywood is maybe on its way out. I mean, being a movie star doesn't mean much of anything anymore. People, I mean, the whole meme now is that nobody wants to hear celebrities' opinions. And oh god, I swear nobody calls me unless I'm on a live stream. 1 second.
No problem. Diesel punk. Is that a new thing? So
I mean, I think that's. I mean, I think that's just steampunk, but with the diesel engines. Unless I'm mistaken, that's what it sounds like.
Subgenre.
Maybe
Could be. Original properties out there, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah, I haven't seen John Wick. I keep meaning to see John Wick.
Oh, it's good.
Putting it off. Yeah, I've heard it's great. And of course, everybody loves Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. Well, definitely nowadays. I mean, he's done a lot of obscure stuff. I mean, stuff I love, but I don't think anybody else saw. Back in the day.
Yeah, he was. There was a period of time where I just kind of thought of him as that guy from the '90s, and then he just made this comeback.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of a trend with actors. Like John Travolta did great stuff, kind of disappeared and came back with a vengeance, and he's one of millions. I'm sure it's happened to. They sort of do movies, and not everyone's going to be a hit, so they do a couple of movies that nobody sees, and all of a sudden they need a comeback movie.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, like, celebrity is kind of a thing of the past because we have all these Instagram stars and YouTube stars, and what does it mean to be famous anymore? It's definitely not just actors anymore. So
Yeah. And of course, I think COVID was the final nail in the coffin for the theater industry. So
yeah, I mean, it's still a wait and see what the hell is going to happen. nobody's at, nobody's on solid ground right now as to what things will be like 6 months down the line or a year down the line. There's no way of knowing. I mean, I'm sort of just keeping my head down and doing what I've always done and hoping for the best. But, might have to turn around and like go off grid and live in a cabin in the woods one day if things get really bad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
So, yeah. Yeah, that's the silence of knowing that that's probably true. Anyway, but yeah, getting back on topic to Zener.
Okay.
So let's see. Yeah, like I was saying, I'm hoping this takes off because I've got some really cool story stuff coming up. When Alex asked me to write Zener, the reason he gave is because he thought I was better equipped to handle like darker and more intricate plot lines, and I think this is going to be a really fun one to read because Zener, in his own book, he's the hero, but so much stuff is happening around him based on him. Everyone wants to get to him. And there are all these other competing factions. So it's not so much a story of there's a villain, we need to go stop the villain and throw the villain in prison. There's this whole world of different machinations going on behind the scenes, and Xena's sort of caught in the middle. And I think it's going to be really fun to like unpack all of that and have a story, where, and I know it's a cliche to say like, is the hero really the good guy? But no, in this case, I think we're going to see that he is a good person, but there are a lot. He has a lot of flaws, and there are an awful lot of other very flawed people who also have good intentions in his world. And he's simply one of the people who is at loggerheads with these other people who have great views about where they want to take the world.
Right. Yeah, I mean, talking about like recent trends, like a lot more comics want to be dark and gritty without being sort of realistic. Like, you can get somebody with good intentions that appears to be doing bad things, but it's just that their solutions may be incorrect, or like there's 100 ways of approaching flawed characters, and it's
Right.
just really interesting on seeing everybody's different takes. I mentioned in what I'm calling part one now with Alex, that I really like the artwork, and it he sent me a Zero, which I still haven't read. I'm so bad at reading nowadays. But it's a beautiful book.
Oh yeah, Juan did a fantastic job. We love him.
Yeah, as well as like the character design, and anybody listening to this can follow the links and go see what you guys are up to, and the book, and even sample pages, so they go check it out.
Yeah, definitely do. There's a lot of great stuff in issue 0. Obviously, you meet Zener, but you also sort of get a sense of uh, what's going on in the world around him, and you'll get to meet Salvatore, who is my absolute favorite villain in Zener's whole Rogues Gallery, and his sort of assistant Quentin, who is actually a character I created, and you're going to start to meet them. You're going to meet Automaton, another villain. You're going to meet Chimera. A whole lot of people are going to show up and set things up for some really awesome stories in the future.
As far as the world, is it like, it's taking place in today's world?
Yes, yeah, it's today's world. Basically, the setup is it's very much like the world as it is today, except only just recently the first superhero in the world has shown up. The first known superhuman, that being Empress, who is sort of a nature wielding druid sort of character. And so she's the only superhero anybody knows about. And we follow the perspective of this young kid, well, not that young. He's like in college. Diego Reyes, who's walking around with his girlfriend when all of a sudden a fight breaks out between a monster and some superhero who nobody's ever seen, who turns out to be Zener. And there's all kinds of property destruction. Everything's going wrong, and we're just kind of following Diego as he tries to avoid getting squashed by these two immensely powerful beings battling around him.
Nice. So hopefully not too much property damage. I know, like, people complain about that in Man of Steel.
Well, certainly it's something to complain about in Man of Steel, because I mean, Superman has this established thing where he's very careful about property damage. With Zener, I mean, I think he's still careful about it, but he doesn't always have the option of not doing it. You know, if the villain is about to knock over a building anyway, then you can save more people by knocking the villain through a building than letting them knock the building down. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it's funny because, like, you know, I'm doing my hero retro, and he's like, you know, sort of the street-based character of what I'm going to be building my universe of superheroes and whatnot. And I haven't even started thinking of a cosmic level events and whatnot. So I haven't thought about property damage per se. But that's funny. But yeah, it's a consideration, and different heroes are definitely approach it differently. It's like sometimes it's better to save the many and sacrifice the few, depending on their outlook of things.
Yeah. And in fact, that's something that I very specifically wanted to play with in this story, because Zener, being a mind reader as he is, even if you can look at that from that utilitarian standpoint and and see that, fewer lives lost is better than more lives lost. Zener still has to go through the fact that everyone who gets accidentally hurt or killed when he's fighting someone, he's going to hear in his head everything that they're thinking and feeling as this occurs.
Right.
So I think that that's going to be something interesting to play with, because he's trying his best to do right by everybody, but he has to go through these horrible experiences with the people that he's trying to help.
Yeah, I can imagine it being an advantage, but also something that would drive you nuts.
Yeah, for sure. Zener's mental health is always in a pretty precarious state, and that's one of the reasons.
Right. So let's see. We get a couple more comments. Some people in chat, always appreciated. Let's see. I think okay. Yeah, here we go. I'll go back to what I missed. Diesel Punk is like Fallout.
Okay, yeah, I can see
Fallout. Diesel Punk's got Americana elements, but with alls and nuclear stuff. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look that up. That sounds interesting. It's like Streamline Modern was taken over by Grease Monkeys and made it right. Cool. It goes back to Citizens have been trading bargain chips for years, considering that AMC is selling theaters to Chinese investors. It's quite sad. Yeah.
Everything's owned by China now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other most people at the moment. People probably, hey, don't pull a Unibody, please. No, I guess referring to me going out, living in a cabin in the woods. Every character is a hero in their own eyes. Look at Darth Vader as an example. Absolutely.
I don't know if Darth Vader would actually be an example of that. Because I mean, like, for instance, the line "It's too late for me, son." I think he understands he's evil. I think he's one of the few villains who understands he's evil. He just doesn't feel like he can do anything about it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there was a turning point for him where, he was looking to be a Jedi and all that, and got overtaken by his emotions. So yeah, I think you're right. It's definitely at the end of things. He was like, "I'm corrupted," and Metropolis taxes must have gone up to fix the property damage. Possibly.
They probably would have gone through the roof.
I know there's,
of course, especially because everybody probably would have been leaving at that point. Your tax base is like, well, every building got knocked down. I'm heading off somewhere else. I'm gonna go live in that cabin in the woods.
I mean, to me, it's almost like, comics are a lot more, in a way, realistic than the movie. And it's almost a little sad because now we have to explain where powers come from, explain, why things are thus, and explain, just because we toppled 20 blocks of buildings, what's the outcome to that? We can't just have this big creatures show up and destroy everything and it just be a fun story anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting how audiences' willing suspension of disbelief changes
Yeah.
over time. Uh, like, back in the golden age, you could just put basically anything on a page and people would be like, oh, I could see that working. Like, I don't know, I've heard of one character who gained super strength because he learned to coordinate his muscles like an ant or something. He didn't even actually have superpowers. He just figured out that if you coordinated your muscles in a certain way, you could have super strength. That's the sort of thing that used to fly. And these days, it wouldn't so much. I
Yeah, I
also
mean,
heard that, like, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, imagine there was no Spider-Man previously, and somebody came up with Spider-Man today. It's like, oh, he was bitten by a radioactive spider. It's like, but how does that work?
Yeah, radiation doesn't do that. Wouldn't he just die? Like, and then of all things, like, he gains all these powers that spiders don't have, but he doesn't gain web shooting. He has to build that one for himself. That's the one thing spiders can do.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he can stick to walls. That's about it. Spiders aren't particularly strong. They don't have this weird prescient sixth sense. They're not particularly fast or particularly agile. And so he's got all these powers that have almost nothing to do with being a spider, which he got through being bit by a spider. Actually, you know what? That almost makes it make more sense. If you're going to get powers from radiation, does it really matter what kind of creature bit you?
What if it was a radioactive bat? Would it turn
Yeah.
to Batman?
I was bitten by a radioactive bat, and all of a sudden I got tons of money.
If only. I think people will start going out and doing it.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I figure if I'm bit by a radioactive bat, I can make tons of money just by suing whoever irradiated the bat.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's like you can't explain everything, and everything shouldn't be explained to a certain extent. It is, these are superheroes. These are things that don't exist in the real world for the most part.
Yeah. God, I hate it in comics where somebody feels like they need to have an explanation for why super strength works. Like, oh, you see, it's tactile telekinesis. That's why they can lift the car without the bumper breaking off. Like, just lift the car. Just show them lifting the car. I
Yeah.
don't need a whole explanation. I just want to see that car get lifted and then somebody smashed over the head with it.
Yeah. To me, that's it's different, but it's sort of like being too PC. It's like you're going to be too PC down to the point of not being able to say anything one day.
Yeah. You're gonna stop suspending disbelief until the point where now you can just no longer have fiction.
Yeah. It's no longer fun. It's like, do you try to explain Bugs Bunny? That's not realistic. It's just fun.
Yeah, it's just wacky, enjoyable, escapist nonsense. I
Yeah.
don't need it to be realistic.
Yeah. So let's see. More and more comments. What did I miss? I guess I was there. The antagonist is the hero of their own story. Yeah. More nuance to it that muddles morality, like Breaking Bad. uses mirroring explained in season 1, episode 2 through a chemical process, Walter being minor to Jesse, and in turn, Gus being one to Walter. I'll have to research that. I'll take your word for it.
Oh, yeah, and he's definitely right about the mirroring thing. Like for instance, I was talking earlier about Salvatore and how he's my favorite villain. Uh, what Salvatore represents vis-a-vis Zener is the most talented person who has ever lived. He was just born with unbelievable psychic powers that are absurd and almost godlike. Salvatore is a dude who has very little talent at all, and I want to, in the story, I'm going to have him point this out. He practices sort of chi like, sort of life force wielding martial arts kind of thing, that anyone can do if they know how, if they have the proper training, and if they put in the proper time. But he isn't particularly talented at it at all. He's just been doing it so long, and he's so dedicated to it that he is himself a force to be reckoned with, equal to Zener. And not only that, but he sees people like Zener who are just handed these incredible abilities without having to work for them as threats. And he actually has kind of a point, because Zener is not only this godlike entity, but he also has a whole host of mental issues. He's trying to do good, but he occasionally smashes up property, and people get hurt. And so Salvatore sees the fact that he was just granted power. Like Salvatore would agree that Zener has good intentions, but he doesn't think that he can control himself. And so that's sort of how they mirror each other. It's the one is the incredible talent who is whose talent is actually hurting them in certain ways, versus the guy who has worked for many lifetimes. Salvatore is immortal, or has achieved immortality through hard work, who has just plucked away at it and plucked away at it and plucked away at it until he became immensely powerful. And because of this, he's a lot more stable. But he also is trying to kill Zener just because he assumes that Zener is dangerous. So there's this whole thing at play here between talent and hard work in the book, and that's how they're sort of mirrors of each other.
Very cool. Then we got the Rogues Gallery of Batman exemplifies this concept as each villain expresses one facet of Batman's compass and principles, life, and thoughts.
Yeah, the Batman the Rogues Gallery is a good one for sure.
Yeah.
Obviously, Batman representing order and strict discipline, and the Joker representing chaos is the go-to example. But they all have certain elements.
Yeah. I'm glad the new Batman movie has like different villains, even though we may see Joker in some form or fashion. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, what I've seen the teaser trailer. I don't remember Was I saw like a villain. I was looking at him like, is that Hush? He's got like weird bandage face. I'm not sure.
It's supposed to be, their version of Riddler.
Riddler. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I was thinking it
So
was Riddler, but
yeah,
I thought I saw a dude with like bandages on his face. So I was like, is that supposed to be Hush or what? What's the deal? I also could be just completely misremembering. I only watched it like once.
yeah, yeah. It could be an amalgamation of Hush in there, obviously. Um, but we'll see. It's Riddler. It's who is it? Oh, Penguin. Penguin's in
Penguin.
there too.
Interesting.
Although you wouldn't really know it to look at the trailer. But I've been watching a lot of people breaking it down. So
Penguin's an interesting choice. I'm actually surprised that he hasn't showed up in movies yet. I mean, well, he did back in the day, but like not.
Well,
in,
yeah,
not in sort of the
recent one.
modern era. Not in the post MCU world.
Yeah, yeah. Back then, I loved Danny DeVito. I didn't necessarily love their take on him, but yeah. Who knows? I mean, Batman has a million great villains that they could choose from. Why not just do different ones every time? Not the same ones over and over.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but
He's still
so
be
he
a
says
really
that.
a good Mr. Freeze.
Yeah,
although I
absolutely.
don't know how we could possibly have a better Mr. Freeze than Arnold. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. Perfection. Can't
Oh
be
yeah.
topped.
One man's opinion. Okay. So Stitch says, like Bane being Batman in intellect but evil, or Joker being anarchy to Batman's owner. Yes. Pretty much with radioactive radiation's radical effects, so that in itself.
That sounds like half of a comment.
Yeah. I think the point's there, though. What he was trying to say. Upcoming Batman movie will feature Riddler and Carmine. Hmm.
I don't really know Carmine.
Carmine, is that like a head of mob boss guy? I think. I don't know. Vaguely reference that. Carmine. Carmine Falcone. Yeah, will be in the movie. Yeah, he's a mob head. And there needs to be a Salmon Grundy feature. Yeah, Salmon Grundy's cool.
Yeah, he is. One second. Let me go grab some more coffee. I'll be right back.
Sure. Yes. So thanks for all the comments. It's been really cool. Obviously, people watching it later can check out all that. I love coffee too.
Oh yeah, I used to not like it, and now I just can't make it through the day without like 5 cups.
Yeah, it's like I grew up not drinking coffee. I may have had it once or twice at family gatherings or something. But it really was me getting a day job and hanging out with secretaries. So they all drank coffee, and it's like I wound up drinking coffee with them. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I used to work a job where I was an inventory counter, and I had to get up sometimes as early as uh, not just get up. I had to report to work as early as 2 in the morning. So a caffeine addiction was an essential element to getting that job done.
So, while you are writing these projects, are you still have a job, day job?
Not at the moment. I'm actually going to school right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I went back to school. I'm learning data analytics.
Oh, cool. So, do you think writing comics will be always be a side gig or a part-time gig?
Uh, I'd like to hope not, but realistically, probably. I mean, unless something else, unless there's like a big comeback, which is what I'm hoping for. I mean, obviously the mainstream industry is struggling badly right now. Crowdfunding is a nice stopgap, but it's not really scalable. There's You can't use crowdfunding to get into like the mainstream consciousness, right? You can't you can't you know create characters that somebody's grandma will have heard of through crowdfunding, because it's just not possible to send that many books with such a small operation as just a creator, in his house, uh, boxing and boarding his own comic books and shipping them out to people.
Yeah, I mean, there are creators making waves with crowdfunding,
Yeah,
but it's more those that sort of built the foundation previously. Like made names for themselves and are like really taking advantage of it now in a good way.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it is definitely like if you're just doing crowdfunding, your small independent comic, um, you could potentially bring in good money. Um, but you're right. Like as far as breaking through into the public consciousness, uh, you have to make waves in other ways, I guess.
yeah,
I'm one of the many trying to figure it out as well. So.
yeah. I mean, you can certainly make a very comfortable living if you're one of these top crowdfunding creators. Uh, but I don't know. I don't see the next Stan Lee coming from crowdfunding. I think that there needs to be a new business model, and I don't know what it is yet. I think people are still kind of searching for it. But to me, the crowdfunding scalability is the problem. So if you're a small time dude like us, it's a great option. But if you want to like build beyond uh, that and create an IP that's going to have pop cultural relevance, I don't know that that's going to be the way to go.
Well, a lot of creators um, look beyond comics and try to get their properties made into movies or TV shows, and some of them are succeeding out there, like Ben Dunn, who is essentially a small time creator. indie creator, got his, character, um, uh, Warrior Nun, onto Netflix, and a lot more people are aware of the character. I don't know necessarily like the most random person out there who watches that show has any idea that it was originally a comic, but you know.
Yeah, I don't know, but it is good that these streaming services are adapting some of this stuff. Not that I'm a huge fan of Netflix as a company, but uh, definitely they've been doing some good work on getting comic books adapted.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know personally what happened, but uh, didn't Mark Millar sell a bunch of his properties, and I don't know if anything's been done with them yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I just heard that he made an absolute killing.
Yeah. I mean, I consider that all that's Hollywood, and with Hollywood, it's you never know what's happening until after it's happened. Most times, 'cause things take years, and it's all a shot in the dark. But that's why we do comics. Comics take long enough to make. Um, but it's like I like the fact that we're all on the web and accessible, and um, and I like the community behind it, and just we're all just creators trying to get our books out and appreciating other people's works, and you know
For sure. Um, yeah, I think that there's been a uh, big, I guess, gathering of people who really like comics on the internet over the past couple of years, and it's resulting in some cool new properties and some really fun books. And I'm happy to see that even as the industry sort of flounders, people are still making good stuff.
yeah. To me, I've been in comics since 1991, so a little bit of time.
Oh
I
yeah, I
see.
was. I would have been -1 at the time.
There you
Actually,
go.
speaking of which, it happens to be my birthday today. I was born on August
Hey,
29th, 1992. And it's
happy
a
birthday.
miracle I remembered. I'm not at the age yet where I fear birthdays, but I am at the age where I like consistently forget that I'm having them.
So I gather you're not doing anything special.
Oh
Uh,
well, I mean, there's a virus, but I'll
yeah.
probably be going out to get myself a nice big case of beer
There you
at
go.
some point.
Yeah, I mean, my birthday was in April, and it's like, happy birthday. I mean, I didn't do anything. I didn't go out.
Yeah.
I might have talked to a friend or two on the phone, but it was like, yeah, I think I'll pass this year.
Yeah. Yeah, call me when I hit one of the big ones. What was that? Who's that guy who did? There was like a comedy sketch about how, or a stand-up comedy bit about how, after a certain age, you only get one birthday every 10 years, uh, until you make it to like 100, and then every year is a birthday again.
Yeah, sounds like Seinfeld. I don't know. It could
I
it could be
don't
anybody.
I don't think it was Seinfeld, although
Yeah.
he might have been like referencing some Seinfeld thing. I don't know, but yeah, he was talking about how after the age of 21, you get one birthday every 10 years. Then after you hit 100, every birthday you get, like one law no longer applies to you. You can. It was like if you're such and such age, you can steal anything. It doesn't. You can't use a truck or a wheelbarrow. Anything that you can carry with your hands, you can legally steal. Because let's be real, if some 90-year-old lady stole something from you, it wasn't yours to begin with.
If you can't outrun a 90-year-old lady, then he deserved to be stolen from. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, lots of birthday wishes in the chat. He said Patton Oswalt possibly said that. Also
Patton,
sounds like Patton.
that might very well be. That sounds right.
Well, we've been going over an hour. So now's the time to, anything we might have missed that you want to talk about?
Not necessarily. I guess I'll just go ahead and once again give the Zener pitch so that anybody who may have joined later might, they can know what it is that I want that they should be looking forward to in this book. Zener, the Master of the Mind. It's about a man who was born with unbelievable psychic abilities, and he when they activate, he ends up causing a lot of problems, and he gets locked away in an asylum where he's experimented on until he escapes. And the story is about the people who run the asylum, and also Salvatore, the person who thinks who believes himself to be defending the world from people like Zener, and all these different forces are battling each other in this one little town of Indigo Valley, and it's going to be a really fun ride. There's going to be all kinds of great fights, tons of cool characters, lots of really exciting stuff. So definitely go to the Indiegogo page, sign up, get on the mailing list, be on the lookout. Follow me and Alex on Twitter. There's going to be a bunch of fun stuff coming.
Awesome. So is there a set date when you're launching, or I forget?
There is not currently a set date. We're probably going to wait until next year after the Christmas season is over.
Okay, right. Yeah, I think I remember Alex mentioning that. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, make sure you're
everybody go ahead and read the issue 0 so that you're prepped and ready to go for the launching of the actual series. It's a fun little story. I really enjoyed writing the issue 0.
Oh, cool. We look forward to that, and the other projects you got going on that you mentioned, and we should great things in the future.
Excellent.
And yeah, go grab some beers and have a great birthday as best you can.
All right, I will do that. It has been great talking to you.
My pleasure. One last comment. Okay, so why release after Christmas? Is it just a timing issue, or is it delivered after the holiday release?
It's we're trying to avoid. I mean, in crowdfunding, Christmas is always the off season. Christmas is a bad time to do crowdfunding because everybody's spending all their money on Christmas presents. And we could sneak it in before Christmas, but I think we want to gain a bit more of a following, gain a bit more of an audience, so that when we do launch, uh, we've got enough people to get the book funded.
Yeah, no, it's definitely true. And even January, where I have seen a lot of people launch, is still somewhat sketchy. February being really the best month to jump into the waters. But yeah, so look for all things by them, and um, thank you all for watching. If you're watching this after the fact, give the video a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Trying to grow past 1,000. Thank you for my new subscribers, and yeah, I'm trying. I guess I'm trying to keep to every other day stream, because I got every other day I'm focused on different projects. So that's my new current schedule. Thanks again for watching. Thanks again for joining me on today's stream web. And take care, everybody. Good luck with your projects and art. And I'll see you again next time. Be well.
Next summit.